Murder, She Wrote is the 9th episode of the 35th season of The Simpsons. This is directed by Chris Clements, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And I think this is the first episode of this season that I've truly, thoroughly enjoyed. I absolutely loved this. I loved the animation, I loved the story. There's one thing at the end that really bothered me. It's not necessarily anything wrong with the episode, it's just a certain character's action. But I'll talk about that when we get there. But in general, really thoroughly enjoyed this. It starts off with Marge going to get the mail and she finds some checks that they should have cashed during the pandemic. It always feels so strange when a TV show mentions the pandemic because it was so long ago, yet in the grand scheme of things, not very long ago at all. And they now have this money, so they decide to go on a cruise, and it's the Pacific Princess Leia cruise. And the ship design is brilliant, and it is, as Homer puts it, a nerd cruise. And I loved it. We had this really fun introduction to different parts of the ship and different people on board, and it was just tremendous fun. And Comic Book Guy is on board, and he's brought with him his radioactive man that has Wolverine claws. And there were only ever 2 produced before they realised the error. And it just so happens that he'd recently ruined Bart's own comic book. Bart had created his own comic book, and Comic Book Guy destroyed the book and along with it Bart's dreams. And Bart says that he hopes somebody destroys the thing that Comic Book Guy loves the most. Lights go out. Lights back on. The radioactive man with the Wolverine claws is missing its head. And the rest of the episode is a murder mystery of who decapitated the action figure. And Bart is framed immediately. Well, he's accused immediately, as one would expect, given what he said. He had motive. And the Simpsons are dressed as the Addams Family at that point, which I rather liked. And Bart begs Lisa to believe him he didn't do it. Did he do it? Did he not? Either way, Lisa is going to find out. And as I said, there are spoilers as I explain what happened. And we have a series of clips of Lisa interrogating passengers and then going about the ship trying to gather evidence. And then she found the head, the radioactive man head, in Bart's stuff. And my immediate thought was, it's a plant. At no point did I think Bart did it. But we quickly learn, or believe we learn, that actually it was an insurance scam, which seemed quite likely once everything was explained. But Lisa's not buying it. And I like this because I genuinely did buy it. I genuinely thought, yeah, this makes sense. It's an insurance scam. And Lisa then came up with her own theory. And she realised that it wasn't the same doll. The box had been swapped for the other one, and the reasoning for this, the explanation, I think is very well told, definitely worked really well. Lisa's pronunciation of favourite with a U amused me quite a lot, and I rather liked it as part of the story. I thought it unfolded really well, and they go and find Comic Book Guy because it is true that he wasn't around, which is one of the reasons why it was easy to believe the insurance scam, that he'd taken the money he'd filed for it and ran. But he's actually hiding at the gym. And this was a bit of an emotional moment. Not too emotional, but he'd tapped into the interrogations that Lisa was conducting, and he'd heard all of these people say rather horrible things about him. And he was so hurt by this that he just cowered in the gym. And then at the very end, and this is the bit that I don't agree with, it annoyed me very much, because his wife is fed up of him being obsessed with this doll, he decides to throw it in the water. I mean, what an idiot. Sell it and do something with the money. I don't care if you sell it and give the money to charity. That's better. I mean, that's probably a good thing to do, but that's better than throwing it in the water, even if you don't want anything to do with the money. Fine, sell it and give it to charity. What an idiot. It just annoyed me so much because nobody in their right mind would do that to a valuable item if they knew the value of that item. So I got very, very frustrated by that. He's basically just thrown a lot of money into the water. And as I said, maybe he doesn't want the money, he doesn't want it associated with the doll. Fine, give it to charity. Not happy with that. I really thought it kind of ruined the ending a little bit because I got very annoyed. We actually end with Homer which was not too bad. But as I said, I think this is probably my favourite episode of this season. I don't think it would ever be an all-time favourite. I do think there was room for improvement. I think we could have had a lot more nerdy things. In the beginning, we had a lot of nerdy things, but then it kind of fizzled out a little bit, and I would have liked a little bit more detail with that. But in general, I enjoyed it. I thought it was not a bad episode. Murder, She Wrote is definitely the strongest episode, at least of the 35th season so far. The season hasn't been great, so I don't know if any episode will be better than this one. Time will tell, but at the very least, this is an enjoyable episode.